This film is brutal. The rhythmic editing along with the harsh visuals get the viewer's attention straight away, as we see the Israelites screaming in pain as the ear-piercing cracking of the whip sets the beat for the opening track. The Egyptians loom over the Israelites. They are nothing but mere work ants building the grand structures for royalty. This drastic divide in class makes the viewer feel sympathetic towards the Israelites before we've even met Moses. When we first meet him, he's being clutched in his mother's hands, as it is tradition for the Egyptians to slaughter all Israelite firstborns. Therefore, Moses is swept away and placed in a basket by his mother. While his mother sings him a lullaby, she gently sets him down in the river Nile, where he drifts right into the clutches of Pharaoh, who raises him from here. I feel like change is a big theme in this film. As when we first meet Moses, he is an ego-driven, reckless, arrogant fool. We see this when he destroys an entire structure with his brother Ramesses and laughs in the faces of the Israelites who have to rebuild it. He disrespects his own people. His change comes when he bumps into his long-lost brother and sister from the opening scene. His sister tells him that he is not the real Prince of Egypt, and instead her brother. Moses, being the ego-driven maniac that he is, rejects this from his mind and walks away. But just before he leaves, his sister starts to mutter the lullaby that his mother once sang for him as a small baby. This briefly takes Moses back, and he starts to have a mental conflict in where he really belongs. This is portrayed in a musical number that rivals the best in the film. His eyes slowly start to open to the truth that his so-called family are not so innocent, and that he himself is an Israelite. He gains confirmation from his mother, and this marks the start of Moses' change into a good man, as he deprives himself from all riches royalty provides and settles down with the Midians. I just want to say that this film is beautiful. The brilliant cinematography along with the high-class animation and soundtrack create a cinematic experience rivaled by no other animated film. The burning bush scene is a good example of this. This is where Moses is confronted by God and told to set his people free. Moses does not question the idea that this voice is God. As soon as God speaks, Moses immediately removes his shoes and places his feet on the holy ground. This is because belief in God is not the main message. In any other retelling this would be the case, but no. The story is about belief in yourself and finding where you belong. The characters never have a problem believing in God. This is evident as the Israelites at the beginning of the film are not questioning God's existence, but calling out to him in need of help. Moses is not confused about religion but about himself. Moving into the second act, there's an entire scene explaining this. Moses' brother Ramesses also has this problem, as at the beginning of the film he does not believe that he will go on to be a good pharaoh. These thoughts are influenced by his father, as he calls Ramesses the weak link in the chain, and that he will bring down the dynasty to ruin. This ultimately creates the Ramesses that we see in the third act, where Moses attempts to set his people free. Ramesses is so obsessed with living up to his father's image that he would rather create an enemy out of his own brother then set the Israelites free and prevent his father's legacy from becoming a reality. This creates the main conflict of the film between the two brothers. Ramesses rejecting Moses' requests ultimately lead God to send the 10 deadly plagues upon Egypt. But Ramesses is stubborn and will not give Moses the victory over him, as he is the morning and the evening star, and if he says day is night, it will be written. He is Egypt. But he loses in the end. As the last plague kills every firstborn in Egypt, this means that Ramesses' son is killed. So, Ramesses gives up, gives Moses his people back, and kneels there with his lifeless son clutched in his arms, a shell of the man he once was. This was actually foreshadowed in the previous scene, in this shot. The mural almost looks like Ramesses' child is being dumped in the river along with the Israelites, which is a hint at what is soon to come. Ramesses, of course, ends up chasing after Moses and the Israelites with his army, but the death of his son marks his defeat. Ramesses has clearly lost control. His anger fuels him and he will stop at nothing to see Moses' head on a stick. This leads to one of the most iconic scenes in the film, where Moses creates a path for the Israelites by parting the Red Sea. The moment is nothing short from majestic. I mean, just see for yourself. This is where Ramesses should retreat, but his anger clouds his mind and he runs headfirst into the belly of the beast. Moses and the Israelites obviously make it to the other side safely, leaving Ramesses and his army to be consumed by the immense body of water. Then the movie ends, with Moses overlooking his people with the 10 Commandments in his hand, and Ramesses sitting in a dark cave, calling out to his brother for forgiveness. This movie is growing to be one of my favourite animated films and definitely my favourite DreamWorks movie. It balances spectacle with reality perfectly while staying true to the original text. The cinematography is brilliant. I think what I'm showing you here speaks for themselves. There are small little details in each scene that just add that little bit more to develop the story. For example, in this scene, Moses is trying to convince Ramesses to let the Israelites go. The first shot we see, when Moses starts to talk, is a medium shot of the Israelites suffering. This is from Moses' point of view. Then Moses asks Ramesses, "What do you see?" Then we get an extreme wide shot of the amazing structures that the Israelites have built for him. This presents the idea that Ramesses just needs to look that little bit more closer to see reality. The film also uses a couple of mirror shots. This means that the film reuses the same shot, but usually changing one thing to give it a different meaning. For example, they use this shot when Moses' mother sings the lullaby to him at the beginning of the film. They use it again for his sister, when she sings the same lullaby. This presents the idea that his sister reminds Moses of his mother, and it takes him back. They use a mirror shot again when Moses finds out the dark side of his family, and in the scene just before the last plague hits Egypt. This again repeats the idea of change, in the sense that before it was the Israelites' children dying, but now Egyptians have to suffer the same fate. Yeah, this film doesn't shy away from violence. Children are dying constantly. I mean, just look at this.
Oh! Ew!
Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Of course, since it's a musical, the music is a big part of the film. And at the end of the day, if the music's bad, the film's bad. Now, I ain't no Sideways, but the music in this film is great. From the epic orchestral score of The Plagues to the ambient sounds of The Burning Bush. At the end of the day, the visuals and the music work together to create an experience to remember. And that is what a musical should strive to do. So, I'm giving this film a 9 out of 10. Go and watch it.